What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports Through the Mail Thursdays. Today I'm going to share with you 3 recent returns that I got back in the mail, profile each of those individuals that signed autographs for me, and tell you a little bit about their careers in baseball. So the first one is a return from Maryland, and it is a return from former Baltimore Oriole, Tim Nordbrook, on 1. His all-time Crown Coca-Cola card makes 2. Another duplicate of that card makes 3. And also a card of him as a Toronto Blue Jay. So unfortunately, he kind of signed this one kind of in the dark part of the card, but this card actually was quite damaged when I sent. There's a big crease you can see right there. So I guess if you're going to sign the worst card in the bunch in the worst place, that's better than signing, in the dark areas of some of the other cards. So let me tell you about Tim Nordbrook and his career in baseball. Tim Nordbrook, a Baltimore area native, was born in Baltimore, and he lived out his lifelong dream of being drafted by his hometown team. When the Orioles drafted him in the 9th round of the 1970 draft out of Loyola College in Maryland, he also attended Loyola University in New Orleans as well, and he actually played basketball for Loyola University in New Orleans. While Tim was a 2-sport athlete in college, he actually joked about it in an interview once, saying that I held Pete Maravich to just 52 points, so I decided that I probably ought to focus on my baseball career instead of basketball. So while Tim was in college, he had the unlucky assignment, I guess you would say, of guarding the great Pete Maravich while he was in college at LSU. So you can imagine that didn't go over too well, and after Pete scored 52 points on Tim that game, he decided to focus his career on baseball. Well, the infielder for the Orioles was assigned at 20 years old to the Orioles AA affiliate. And remember, he was a college player at this point, and he struggled mightily that first season with the Orioles in AA, and they actually had to demote him to single A, and he batted just a combined 135 between those 2 stops. Well, the next year, he started the year out in single A, and he got promoted back up to AA, and between the combined season in 1971 and 112 games, he batted 276. So improved his batting average quite significantly that 1971 season. Well, in 1972, he started the full year in AA, spent the entire year there, appearing in 127 games for the Orioles, posting a 243 batting average, playing the middle infield. In 1973, he'd be moved up to the next level, where he'd appear in 89 games in AAA. 1974 would be more of the same, where he would appear in 109 games for the Orioles AAA affiliate and post a 287 batting average. Well, he got called up to the major leagues on September 13th, 1974 to help finish out the year in the majors with the Orioles. And in that game against the Indians, he got 1 at-bat and did not get on base. He would appear in just 6 games for the Orioles Major League club that year, finishing out the year in 1974. Well, the next year in 1975, Tim would make the Major League roster, be used as a utility infielder, mainly a glove guy, where he would appear in 41 games that year for the Orioles. The following year in 1976, again in a utility role for the Orioles, he would appear in just 27 games, and right before the end of that 76 season, his contract was purchased by the California Angels. He would finish out the year with the California Angels and just appear in 5 games for them, playing infield. However, after that 76 season concluded, the Angels decided not to re-sign him, and he went free agent. In 1977, he moved to the Midwest, and he played for the White Sox for 15 games. But again, he found himself packing his bags as he was traded to the Toronto Blue Jays and finished out the year in 1977 playing for the Blue Jays, combined total of just 39 games between the 2 clubs. 1978, he's packing his bags again. He started the year with the Blue Jays, and then in April of 78 was traded to the Milwaukee Brewers. He wouldn't appear in many games that year at all. I'm guessing there must have been an injury or something there, because he only appeared in 9 total games the entire season in 1978. Well, the Brewers kept him around for 1979, and he only appeared in 2 games for the Brewers that year in '79. However, the Brewers decided to put him in a more reliable role in AAA, where he appeared in 75 games that year. Well, in 1980, he still was with the Brewers, and the Brewers decided to hang on to him again in AAA, and he would appear in 84 games for them that year. Well, after he finished that 1980 season, he would then get into coaching. He would actually become a player coach by the 1982 season for the Brewers organization. He would remain as a coach with the Brewers through the 1984 season. After the '84 season, he moved back to the Baltimore area, decided to raise a family. That is where he started to get involved with some other things. He would do some coaching, and he would do some clinics and that type of thing. But more importantly, his son would go on to go play lacrosse at Virginia Tech University. So Tim would help run a restaurant slash bar type of place in the Maryland area. He would do some baseball clinic work, and that's pretty much where he was after he retired. So from being a coach in the minor leagues. So very happy to add Tim to the collection. Never gotten his autograph before, and got another one for the all-time Orioles collection. We'll move on to the next return. All right, so this next return is from former Oakland A's pitcher slash California slash Anaheim Angels slash coach slash manager, Marcel Lachemann. So let me tell you about Marcel Lachemann and his long career in baseball. Marcel Lachemann grew up in a baseball family in Southern California, attended USC, University of Southern California. He signed as a free agent with the Kansas City A's in 1963. His brothers Rene and Bill were also longtime baseball people. We'll talk about them a little bit more here in a minute. And the 22-year-old was assigned to the Kansas City A's single-A affiliate, where he appeared in 36 games in 1963. The following year, he would repeat A-ball with a stint in rookie ball as well, appearing in 44 games. The following year in '65, he'd be promoted up to Double-A, and he would work his way up to Triple-A eventually until 1969, where he would get a call up to the major leagues, where he made his major league debut on June 4th, 1969. On his debut, he pitched in 2 innings and gave up 2 hits and gave up 2 earned runs. He would have the up and down season that year, but overall, he had a great record for the Kansas City A's, posting a 4-win, 1-loss record in 28 games with a 3.95 ERA. In 1970, he again would split time, despite having that great season the year before. He would post great numbers out of the bullpen again for the Kansas City A's. His ERA would just be 2.78 in 41 games, and he would split the season with 3 wins and 3 losses in the major leagues. However, he spent 11 games in AAA that year as well. 1971 would be more of the same. He did not really get a shot at the majors in 1971, despite coming off that great season, and he was stuck in AAA. He responded in AAA by posting a 5-2 record in 43 games with a 3.04 ERA. Well, he wouldn't return to Oakland, but just for 1 game that year in 1971, where he really got rocked, to say it nicely. And in that last game, he pitched just 1/3 of an inning, gave up 2 hits and 2 earned runs. After that 71 season completed, he came back for another year in AAA for Oakland, and he appeared in 42 games. He had a 6-7 record, but his ERA jumped at 4.88 that year and did not get called back up to the majors. Well, after that 73 season, the A's decided to let him go. And in that offseason, the 32-year-old Lachemann signed with the Montreal Expos. The Expos assigned him to their Double-A affiliate, where he appeared in 25 games for them that season. He would come back another year in 1974 for the Expos, minor league affiliate, but in just 5 games, he would have 2 losses and an ERA over 7. After being let go by the Expos, Marcel would retire as a player and he would get into coaching. He would work his way up through the minor league systems, eventually becoming a coach with the California Angels in the major leagues in 1984. He would spend from 1984 to 1992 being the coach of the California Angels. He would then decide to leave in 1993 to go work for his brother, who was the new manager of the expansion Florida Marlins. Lachemann spent 2 seasons coaching with his brother from 1993 to 94, and then he was offered the job in 1994 after Buck Rogers was let go by the Angels. So the Angels employed Marcel Lachemann as their head manager, and he improved their record in 1994, and the strike-shortened season, of course. And in 1995, the Angels improved, and they actually were at one point 11 games ahead of the Mariners in August, but suffered that historic collapse and lost the 1-game playoff at the end of the season. The Angels brought him back for that 1996 season, and however, after struggling in 1996, Lachemann resigned as the manager of the Angels. Terry Collins eventually replaced Marcel as the manager, and he returned to their dugout as the pitching coach from 1997 to 1998. In the early 2000s, he decided to move to the Denver area and became the pitching coach of the Colorado Rockies from 2000 to 2001. After the 2001 season, he decided to move to the front office as an assistant to the general manager, Dan O'Dowd, and he held that position from 2003 to 2011. Some of the other highlights of Lachemann's career: he served as the pitching coach for the Team USA 2006 World Baseball Classic team. He also was on the 2008 Beijing Olympics team as the bullpen coach, and also part of the 2013 World Baseball Classic team as the bullpen coach for Team USA. So overall, Lachemann has had a career in baseball. I'm assuming that he's retired now, but you never know with one of these lifetime baseball guys. One of the things I want to point out about this card is this is an 87 Topps. Marcel does not have a lot of cards from his playing days, but this 87 Topps is actually him right here. And this is Mike Witt, and this is Bob Boone. Bob Boone is a pretty good off and on through the mail signer, so I'm going to probably send one of these to Bob Boone and see if he'll sign it. Mike Witt, on the other hand, I've never seen a TTM success by him, but that doesn't mean, maybe there will be a private signing or somewhere I can pay to get Mike Witt to sign that in the future. So be very nice to see all 3 of these guys on that card. But if you have some 87 Topps, pull out your leaders card and send them to Marcel Lachemann, because he's a long time California, Los Angeles, Anaheim Angel, whatever you want to call them. And it's always nice to add somebody that was in that organization for so long, and there's a card with him on it. So we'll move on to the final return. So I'm happy to get this one back. It's actually postmarked from Pennsylvania, and I have actually seen this person in person before, and it's beyond me why I didn't get this card signed, probably because I was getting bigger items signed. But it is a return from Rick Big Daddy Reuschel on 1. 2 as a Cub. 1 as a San Francisco Giant as an All-Star. And finally, 1 is the Big League Brothers card with half of the card and his older brother Paul on there. And I just noticed that the image is actually swapped. I just noticed this, that it says Paul under Rick and it says Rick under Paul. So I plan on sending this to his brother Paul, and hopefully we'll get this completed here in the near future. And let me tell you about Rick Reuschel and his career in baseball. Rick Reuschel grew up in a small town in western Illinois called Camp Point, Illinois, where he attended Central High School. From there, he moved to nearby Western Illinois University in Macomb, Illinois, where he starred for their pitching staff. In 1970, for Western Illinois, he posted a 10-0 record, 10 wins and 0 losses, with a 1.29 ERA in 1969, which got the attention of in-state team, the Chicago Cubs, which drafted him in the third round of the 1970 draft. Well, Rick didn't waste any time in 1970 after signing as a pro and went 9-2, 9 wins and 2 losses with a 3.53 ERA and 14 starts to the Class A affiliate of the Cubs, the Huron Cubs of the Northern League. He got moved up in 1971 to Double-A, where he posted an 8-4 record in San Antonio with a 2.31 ERA. It was there that he actually got to be teammates with his older brother Paul at that point on San Antonio. The following year in 1972, he moved up to Wichita, the Triple-A affiliate of the Cubs at the time. He posted a 9-2 record in his 12 starts there and a minuscule 1.32 ERA before he got called up to the major leagues on June 19th, 1972. In his major league debut, he just pitched in 1/3 of an inning, ironically against his future team, the San Francisco Giants, and he gave up one hit in that 1/3 of an inning. Well, this would be the mark of a career for the 23-year-old, and he would never look back at the minor leagues again. Rick would wind up finishing that year for the Chicago Cubs, appearing in 18 games as a starter, 21 overall, posting a 10-win and 8-loss record and a sparse 2.93 ERA. The following year in 1973, Rick would win 14, but he would lose 15 and 36 starts for the Cubs that year. Rick would sparkle in the Cubs pitching rotation, and at this time the Cubs didn't have a whole lot in their pitching rotation. And in 1977, he would break out at the age of 28 and post a 20-win, 10-loss season in 39 games for the Cubs that year. Amazingly, he didn't win the Cy Young Award that year, and that other guy from Philadelphia named Steve Carlton won the award, and he actually finished behind Tommy John as well in third place. The following year in 1978, Rick would return. He would have his record slip back down to 14-15, but his ERA would still be under 4 with 3.41 as his overall ERA that year. In 1979, he would bounce back and win 18 games in 36 starts for the Cubs that year. The following year in 1980, he would lead the league in games started at 38, posting an 11-13 record. In 1981, the Chicago Cubs got off to a slow start. He posted just a 4-7 record. As the Yankees were making a push for the playoff run in that 81 season, he was traded by the Chicago Cubs to the New York Yankees. Well, with the Yankees, things didn't go particularly horrible, but they didn't go great. And he wound up posting a 4-4 record in 12 games for the Yankees that year. Well, unfortunately, after the 81 season, he had some problems with a torn rotator cuff in 1982. In 1982, he basically did not pitch the entire 82 season. And after that 82 season he sat out, he started out with the Yankees. However, they let him go, and he re-signed with a familiar place, the Chicago Cubs. He returned to the Cubs and went 6-6 combined in 1983 and 84, spending a good portion of the 83 season rehabbing in the minor leagues for the Cubs. He was on the 84 Cubs roster that won the National League East Division. However, he did not make the playoff roster. In a total, he spent 12 seasons with the Cubs, and he amassed 135 wins and 127 losses in 388 games. So roughly almost 500 pitcher, a little bit above 500. Well, the Cubs decided to let him go after that season, and he signed as a free agent with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Well, his first year in Pittsburgh, he helped the last place Pirates, and he turned his career around, posting a 14-win, 8-loss record, earning him the National League Comeback Player of the Year award with the Pirates. In 1986, he would post just a 9-16 record with the Pirates. He would start the next year and post an 8-6 record with the Pirates, and they would actually trade him mid-season to the San Francisco Giants. Well, overall, Rick actually wound up having a decent season between the Giants and the Pirates that year. He posted a 13-9 record at age 38 and actually made his second All-Star team. Well, in 1988, he had a bounce back year, the first full season with the Giants. He posted a sparkling 19-win, 11-loss record in 36 games for the Giants at age 39. The following year in 1989, he would help lead the Giants to the World Series, which is known as the Earthquake Series. And in that age 40 season, Rick would make the All-Star team again, posting a 17-8 record and 32 starts and an ERA of just 2.94. Well, after that 89 season, Rick just didn't have a lot left in the tank, and for the Giants in 1990, he was 41 years old, but did make 13 starts for them, but his record slipped to just 3-6. By the time 1991 rolled around, Rick had just appeared in 4 games for the Giants, and then after that 1991 season, Rick retired from baseball at the age of 42 years old. Overall, Rick spent 19 years in the major leagues. He had 214 wins and 191 losses, but more importantly, his ERA was just 3.37 for his entire 19-year career. In many instances, Rick had multiple places give up on him. The Yankees gave up on him. The Cubs, in essence, gave up on him too when he went and signed with the Pirates. But Rick persevered and he worked hard. Rick was not a hard thrower by the end of his career. He was kind of a junk ball pitcher, would be the best way I can put it. Very deceptive with his pitch speeds. And he had those excellent seasons, towards the end of his late 30s into his 40s because of his deceptiveness on the mound. A lot of batters had a lot of trouble hitting off of Rick Reuschel, and they couldn't figure out why, because this guy was not a hard thrower at that point in his career. So I want to thank Rick for signing those for me. I also am hoping that I can get Bob Boone and maybe eventually Mike Witt to sign this 87 Topps. Definitely I'm going to send this to Paul and ask him to sign this as well. I also want to thank Tim Nordbrook for signing his Orioles cards, along with his one Blue Jay card that I included there. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you learned a little bit about some players that you may not have been aware of. I look forward to sharing these multi-cards with you in the future, and as always, happy collecting.